Pleasant good afternoon, one and all. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Friday's afternoon episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Welcome to this Friday afternoon's episode. I hope you had a wonderful working week, and you're looking forward to a relaxing weekend as you prepare for another working week next week. So yes, here we are this Friday afternoon, Friday the 26th day of September in the year of our Lord 2025. Good to be here with you. Share the live as you come on, share the live. Some people are still not, they still don't know of the schedule for these classes. So let them know, share. And we are going to be with you. Another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It is indeed a privilege to be in the land of the living. Every day, you're hearing people just, as we said, dropping out. People just dying. So we have to give praise and thanks that we are able to see a new day, that we're able to be here to take part in this program. So share the live, and we're going to come and bring you the credible, valuable information. The program or the gates were open at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and immediately, as is now customary, immediately the students were there lined up to enter the schoolyard. And when we went live, when the school doors were open, you're hearing your numbers, and I appreciate that very, very much. That is very much appreciated. So yes, but you have to continue to subscribe. People must continue to subscribe to the channel on YouTube, and follow the page on Facebook, right? So that you can get the notices. Last evening, the notice of this program was posted, and I did indicate then the main subject that we're going to deal with today. We're going back to this carnage on the roads in Guyana. Carnage. We're gonna spend some good time today dealing with it. And you know what we do? We normally do. We identify the issues and we offer recommendations and suggestions. So I recall from time to time, some people will come and say, well, y'all only talking about the problems, but don't talk about solutions. Not so. We always provide recommended solutions, and it's to them to take it and implement it. And I say to them, I'm saying now, even before we go into the subject, listen to the message. Forget about who the messenger is. Listen to the message. No one can deny that the situation on the roads in Guyana is far, far from acceptable. Carnage on the road, carnage, right? Carnage on the roads. And the authorities seems powerless. They are so incompetent that they can't come up with some solutions to deal with the situation. So we're going to offer them some more advice this afternoon on the program. Let me say to you that my sidekick, as some people would say, my co-host CC, is not in the studios as yet. And the reason why he's not here, let me read to tell you all why CC is not here as yet. GPL advisory. Dear customers, please be advised that our teams are working to restore power to customers in Demerara and Borbis. We will provide updates regarding the restoration. So, I'm the best. All this oil money, all this what I get, blackout again, man, blackout. 5 more years upon them. Can't be this busy signal. He said one, but you want 5 more years of this. And you're going to get it. You're going to get what you want. They always said, I remember a certain commissioner friend of mine used to say about a certain man, he can get what he wants. A man wanted a job. He said he's going to get what he wants, but he might not want what he get. And that is apt. You can get what you want, you might not want what you get. And that is what I suspect is up. We black out all sort of excuse. I want to know what is the excuse this time. Sometimes it's bored, sometimes it's all kind of things. So I am prepared to do a single wicket today. I'm hopeful that he's going to get through and he's going to join us at some stage. But I'm prepared to do single wicket. So yeah, share the live, and let them know that we're here. Give me the thumbs up. Give me the thumbs up. And we are going to be with you shortly. As again, I say, great day, Friday, the 26th day of September. This year running September almost finished. and then we can come into, once September finish, and then in America, they talk about Halloween in October, and from after Halloween finish is Thanksgiving, and straight into Christmas. I will never forget when I was working in Barbados once, early October month, I go into a store there, Christmas thing playing, Christmas music playing. So some people will start playing the Christmas music early to try to get you in the spirit. So yes, folks, let me do the announcements. For us, a roll call, as we know we're accustomed to, we're going to recognize those who are in the schoolyard and the classroom very early, and then we're going to move on to the announcements and straight into the substantive subjects this afternoon. First man in all the way from Canada was Aubrey, exactly at 2 o'clock. Then Ulrich, West Dem man, came in. Stian, Peter, Carl Johnson, followed by Morton Johnson. Then we have Sean from upstate New York, Felicia. Then it was Wilfred, Rawl, 11752. Rawl called, Rawl, that thing, I hope you found out the information that I told you yesterday that you call. It is there. That is the correct information. When you called me because I would have the answer. And I did provide the answer to you. Anne was here very early. Carl, Marva, Brian, Marcia, Gibbo was here. Jakey, Courtney, Joan from New Amsterdam, Derek Trotty was here. Vashni, Michael, all the way from Imbai. Then it was Denise from Florida, Moses, Junior, Clarence, Aubrey. Then it was Rena, Orin from the UK, and Marlon was here very early too. And then when we open the school gate, when we open the school doors, let's see who are the first students to have entered the classroom. Let's see. We have a lot of people. First body, no surprise here. Edward Charles. Then it was Alston, Simone. Then it was Joy Prince, Altia, Carlton Popo was here very early. Jagdish. Then it was Linda, and the list goes on and on. Commissioner Cole is here with us early this afternoon. Yes, we have a lot to tell you, and let's go. As I said, we're waiting on my colleague to see if he's going to get a little power to join us. Now, we told you some time ago about the death of a former member, Evelyn Tappan Garnett. She died in the United Kingdom, sister of retired Assistant Commissioner Eddington Tappan, a very good friend of mine. I got information I saw. She used to be at the Immigration Department. Our number was the 11105. She's old police, 11105 was a regulation number. And I'm reading here that they're going to be a night of celebrations. I don't get the exact date, 5 to 10. The date was there in Mitcham, England. So the celebrations, the night of celebrations, I guess it's like a night of reflection. They call it night of reflection, night of celebration. Then, again, I regret to announce the death of another former member, Donna Dalgetty. Our number was W290. Donna Dalgetty, I understand she worked. I think I got a big recollection. Worked at Brigham Operations Room for some time there. Donna passed away recently in the United States of America. And this afternoon, this midday time, I got the sad news that Mary Light, some of you might remember Mary Light. She too was a former member. She too passed away recently. I think it might have been yesterday. I'm trying to remember Mary's number. 085 something. She was one of my trainees, 085 something. She passed away recently. And there's another death I wish to announce. Many persons might not be familiar with him, but I know Chilo and these people know I'm referring to Titus Narayan. He used to be there at Big T Resort on the highway. He passed away suddenly yesterday. It was only Sunday we spoke. I got to say again, you never know when your time is going to come, folks. And therefore, as I continue to say, you have to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Go get your medical checkups. Know what your numbers are, right? So suddenly, Titus passed away yesterday, right? So condolences to all the relatives, friends, squaddies of all those who passed away recently. And I hope that the good Lord will give you the strength to go through this difficult time. Now, in terms of, I have something more to announce about that, but let me go to birthday greetings. Today is the birth anniversary of retired woman assistant superintendent Beverly Ann Thompson. Beverly Ann Thompson is celebrating our natal day today. And then also a squaddy of mine, Gaston Taylor from Canada, 9556 Taylor, is celebrating today too. And retired Brigadier General Edward Collins, Chief of Staff of the GDF, he too is celebrating a natal day today. And we have two advanced birthday greetings. Leslyn Wills. Leslyn used to be a former member. I remember her at Brickdam when I was there in the early days. And also a student, right, is celebrating tomorrow. Triforza Williams, we call her Fafine, right? My neighbor, she's celebrating tomorrow. I want to wish all those again, all the best. Yeah, somebody said 853. That is what I have. So Mary's number was 853. I have 853, but I wasn't certain. So thank you very much, Aubrey. But I did have, it was communicated to me, I think it's 0853 was Mary's number, right? So glad for the confirmation on that. So I want to say again, happy birthday to all those who are celebrating today, who celebrated recently, and who are celebrating in the near future, right? Now, let me, to move on, cricket in the air. I know the last day, Monday, when we spoke about cricket, some people felt that we carried on too long. But let me say to you, the only people who would say something like that are people who are not lovers of the game, because those who love the game would have, I guess, understood. We just had a fantastic match, a dead rubber match between India and Sri Lanka, right? India made 203, and then it ended up in a super over. It ended up in a super over, fantastic game. The finals in that's the Asian Cup. The finals will be played on Sunday between India and Pakistan. That old rivalry resumes on Sunday, right? And let me say this too. In case you miss it, West Indies is playing, they are playing Nepal. I think the first match tomorrow, T20 series start tomorrow. And then next week, the West Indies test team will be taking on the mighty India. The mighty India. They're taking on the mighty India. Yeah, India batted first and made 202, right? And then it was a fantastic chase. I sorry, in the last ball, the man dived. He dived to make the second run to level the score. But if he had not dived, there was an opportunity there. He might have been able to go for a third run and win the game. But that is the nature of the game. That is why we like it. Game of glorious uncertainties. So we got these matches coming up tomorrow. West Indies T20 team against Nepal, a new T20 team. Then we have the other game next week. Well, Sunday, it's India and Pakistan. I am missing that. And then next week, I can't remember the exact date, but then you have a lot of cricket. Test team started. You have a lot of cricket. I just saw a notice on the thing that Mr. Conway has entered the studio. Hey, Mr. Conway has entered the studio. So let me see if I can get him to come into to join me. CC, good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
You must pay your light bill, man. You must pay your light bill. It's good to have you here.
Okay. Yeah, we are black out there, man. I think there. But
Yeah.
happy to be back in the land of the living and to reconnect with you, man.
Yeah. Yes, it's always good. I'm always a little anxious when I schedule and we start, just to make sure that you can get into the studio and that you can make your contribution, your invaluable contribution. So welcome. I announced the death of Donna Dalgetty and Mary Light. They died recently, and I was just telling her about the cricket. And,
who is Mary Light?
Mary Light, the police. She was a former member, man. You must 0853 Mary Light, think she used to be at CID. I can't remember where she was, but Mary Light passed away yesterday or sometime there.
Okay.
Right. So yes, so then we have that. So
Okay.
I tell we got the Asian Cup. I looked at the game today. Tomorrow, West Indies and Nepal, and then Sunday the Asian Cup final, Pakistan and India, and then the West Indies test team will take on the mighty India sometime next week. Your take on this, my friend?
Well, Nepal, touch and go, and the West Indies team, maybe, I don't know. I don't have too much of faith in them, but maybe they can come good.
Let me say this.
And
Let me say this.
India and Pakistan, that's war. That's war, full of war.
Yeah. But let me say this, right? I think most of us, when West Indies playing teams like India and maybe Australia and England, you want them to put up put up a good fight, man. That's what you want. But many times they just capitulate. We want them to put up a good fight, and I will be satisfied with them putting up a good fight. But when you see they get rolled over in 3 days and all them type of thing, that is a depressing. That is a depressing thing, man. That is the depressing. Yes, you see.
I remember they had 27, 7 ducks, and then England had 6 ducks, but they make 407. So that was a fight.
Come on, yeah. So let me move on. Because we have a lot to go into this afternoon. The first thing that I want to touch on, we talk about the lawlessness in Guyana, lawlessness. On Monday, I think it was, or Wednesday, whichever it was, we told you about this wall that collapsed on the East Coast, and this man died. But the Cuban who was working there, they all caved in on him, and he died. But I have a news clip to play. So listen to the news clip, and we're going to make some comments on it after. But this is a news clip in relation to this tragic incident where a wall collapsed on the East Coast, a wall that was under construction, some building under construction collapsed and killed this Cuban national.
Poor construction at a Bachelor's Adventure East Coast Demerara construction site resulted in the death of a Cuban national. The victim, identified as DeRobes Martinez, was in his late 20s and had moved to Guyana about 4 months ago, his cousin said. Martinez was pinned beneath the rubble and died on the spot. Other workers managed to escape with injuries. It should be noted that approval for the construction was granted by the Central Housing and Plan Authority and signed off by the local NDC. Chairman of the Buxton Falls Neighborhood Democratic Council was on site and spoke to reporters.
The plan was passed from the individual that owned this place, and they rent it to the Chinese. Apart from that, we know nothing else that is going on in terms of the internal building. We don't know about that. And what might be surprising also is that works are being done in our NDCs, and we are not getting to see the bill of quantity. That is the other thing. So works are being done, and the NDC don't know about what is happening. Now everything got to be passed by CHNPA. And so when they're passed, they will come back to the NDC so that I would sign it off. So we don't have authority to question CHNPA once they pass a plan. And we sign off on.
According to reports, the workers at the location were moving a scaffold when they noticed the wall shaking. Martinez, we were told, had turned back for his motorcycle when the tragedy struck. Minister of Labour, Kiyomo Griffith, was on site to get a better understanding of the incident, while his officers from the Occupation Safety and Health Department of the ministry conduct their investigation. The minister, saddened by the death of the young Cuban, said the safety and health of every worker is of extreme importance to his ministry.
Of course, a life has been lost, and so we are concerned. Of course, there is no circumstance by which we would ever wish for somebody to die on a work site. but the safety and health of every worker is of extreme importance to not only my ministry, but this government. I intend to come into the fields, come onto work sites, and get an inspection done to see that all construction sites are complying with the health and safety, occupational health and safety requirements. So that is something that is central to my function, which I intend to execute. In the coming days, I intend to visit as much sites as I can as possible. This office has also been decentralized, and so in every region, an office has been set up to ensure, well, with occupational health and safety workers, to ensure that regular inspections are being conducted.
Residents around the area said there needs to be more oversight and enforcement of the laws to avoid a reoccurrence.
Well, I played that so you can understand what is going on in this lawless place called Guyana. What jumped out at me is that the Cuban national, first of all, condolences to his relatives or whoever, his colleague and all that. But according to the newscast you just heard, man in the country for what, 4 months? He in Guyana for 4 months, and he working on this site. He's working. Is he in possession of a work permit, a Guyana work permit? Those are some of the things that you have to ask. Who employed him? Did they satisfy themselves that this man had the authority, the legal authority to work in Guyana? You see, when you have these incidents, there are so many things that jumps out. And if you are going to do a proper investigation, all of these things should be taken into consideration. Cuban national in Guyana, for just about 4 months, according to the city, he's working on the site. Is he in possession of a work permit? That is the type of lawlessness we talk about. That is the type of incompetence and corruption we talk about. That the minister now, well, the minister young, the minister apparently wants to make an impression that he's going to visit or he's going to cause his people to visit all these sites and so on. Minister, let me say this to you, and I'm not going to knock you for your you're going to visit much sites and all these type of thing. You know, that seems to be, I always make mistake when I think, man. But when I've been to school, the teacher, the concept of me, can't say much site, you got to be many sites, right? So I ain't going to blame you for that. Like, just like how I am blaming the Minister of Education for talking about she can do her utmost best. We make these mistakes, you know. We do make these mistakes. But you have a department to manage. If you're going to find yourself visiting much sites and all of that, is that your function? Do you have the expertise to determine whether these things are in compliance and all of that? These are some of the issues we have. Let me tell you all one time, CC got knocked out again, blackout, yeah? So you get blackout again. These are some of the things. I remember, this man, what he named CC guy, Mr. Small, told us about the skills of a manager, the type of skills, technical skill, conceptual skill, what is the next one? The technical skill, conceptual skill, and I can't remember. But he said that when you go up at the top there, the human skills, you start off with technical skills. In other words, you got to know to do the job. Then when you get to the next level, you're talking about human skills. You have to know to relate to people and to get them to do the work. But when you get to them level, them II level, it's conceptual skills. You have to have conceptual skills. You have to be able to sit down, cock up your foot, and conceptualize where the ministry will be, where you want the ministry to go, how the ministry gonna get there. And not for necessary for you, like Ben, running to fire scenes and all them type of thing. No, let me understand it. Let me understand. And when you talk about construction, they're not gonna standard of these things in Guyana. Not at all. Not at all. No safety arrangement and all these type of things. So those are the things that you ministers should sit down in your office, call your technical people, and make sure that those things are in place. But don't tell me that you're going to manage as much site as possible, right? We don't want to hear that, right? Yeah, you can visit from site from time to time, but that can't be one of your main duties. Cannot be. You have to have conceptual skills to be there and to see where you want the ministry to go, where the government tell you they want the ministry to go. The Ministry of Labor, check and see how many industrial accidents you've had in recent times. And your predecessor, Pilauri Joe, and do nothing. He ain't done nothing. So let me understand. Let us understand that. And talking about that too, as I've said, they're going to cite safety regulations. Even if they have safety regulations on the books, they are not being implemented. They are not. You get even come out of that disastrous Maja fire where 20 children lost their life. It came out. You have these places, no firefighting equipment and no firefighting mechanism and all this everything. People working under some dangerous conditions, right? And the ministry, your Ministry of Labor, should be looking into all of those things. So we got to understand. We have to understand that. And talking about that, I was pleased this afternoon. It just broke. News broke. You know, as well, the news a couple of days that there was some building on Brigham. I think it's Brigham and one of those cross streets there. They did not get permission. Again, the Chinese building. This building had collapsed. They said the Chinese they building something there, or the Chinese had owned the building, right? So, building going up in Brigham. No, a supermarket in Brigham. People complain about it, and the people are ignoring that and continuing with the construction. So I'm pleased to see a report this afternoon that people from the officers from the Mayor and City Council went in and arrested 5 of the workers for carrying out this construction without the necessary approval. And I saw a few minutes ago, the ministry, September the 26th, Ministry of Housing, through the Central Housing and Planning Authority, has taken decisive enforcement action to stop unauthorized construction works for a proposed supermarket at Lot 72 Brigham Street and Brummel Place. Well, it's the first time I hear refer to Brigham as Brigham Street. There's a Brigham Street and Brummel Place, Georgetown. An inspection conducted by the CH and PA's Enforcement and Compliance Department confirmed that construction commenced without seeking approval from the CH and PA or the relevant regulatory agencies. No planning permission was ever issued for the development, nor is there any application pending before the authority. As a result, the proprietor of the building was formally served with a notice of contravention in accordance with the Tongue and Council Planning Act, Chapter 21, ordering the immediate cessation of all unauthorized works. The notice was served at the residence of the proprietor and a copy affixed to the construction site. The CH and PA formally reminds all businesses, developers, and property owners that the authority is the first point of engagement for all constructions and commercial development permit. Adherence to zoning laws and planning regulations is not only mandatory, but critical to safeguarding orderly and sustainable development. The authority reiterates its commitment to supporting legitimate investment and investment and projects that aligns with national planning standards, uplift communities, and contribute positively to urban development while taking uncompromising action against any attempt to circumvent the law. Well, I got a lot of things that cause me to smile. engage in construction and commercial adherence to zoning laws and planning regulations. They have that. That is news to me. They have zoning laws and planning regulations. I didn't know that those things exist. And even if they exist, I don't know that people are complying. People complain regularly. Regularly, people complain that Chinese supermarket going up all the place, mechanic shop opening in what used to be residential area and all these other things. So I am surprised to know that the CH and PA talking about zoning laws and planning regulations and all that type of thing. That is news to me. That is news to me. So yes, and let me show you, kudos to them. Kudos. I hope this is not selective engagement, I hope they're going to apply this thing now. Maybe they find the resources or they find the spray. I don't know what. But I think now that they have done that, maybe they can go to all the others. Because I'm sure they get numerous such arrangements. Buildings being going up. No, forget about zoning. No permit. People going up. And in many cases, some of them who putting up these structures are untouchable. They are untouchable. So, like something happened with this one, they make the go on the arrest file and they stop the construction. Look the sign that they referred to the sign. This is the building. They say that was being constructed at Brickdam and Brummel Place. I think they say, Brickdam Street. I say, I never heard the term Brickdam Street before. They said Brickdam, but they said Brickdam Street and Brummel Place in Georgetown. So here it is. This is the building there. Construction, unauthorized construction was going on, and they're putting up the notice there. So kudos to them. Kudos to them. And I hope this is not a one-off something. Hope that type of standard will continue. With the Mayor City Council, the Central Housing and Planning, do your work. Do your work. Let me move on. As I said, CC get blackout again. Thought he had paid his bill, but he get blackout again. That's your help upon them. I'm waiting for every excuse they're gonna come up, or what gonna be the reason for the blackout. Let me the place a little warm, so let me wipe my face, bar. Excuse me. Yes, so let me move on. You know, one of the last programs, I think it was Wednesday, we showed you this. We showed you this, and we talked about the fact that people get no respect for national symbols. This is a tattered national flag. And below the national flag, and people pointed out much larger than the national flag, is the German flag, PPP flag, same thing, the German flag, PPP flag. Imagine that, a tattered flag. Well, this, a little, sometime this morning, I see Gordon Mosley posted this picture. And Gordon Mosley is saying that this is along some one of these streets, I think it's Home Stretch or somewhere, right? Heroes Highway, wherever it is, that all of those German flags and all of these things have been removed. So kudos to them. But let me say this. I hope that if the party or the campaign flags have been removed, all of them should have been removed by now. We are almost at a month since the election's done. I hope that is the PPP remove those flags, you know. And when I say that, I mean, I hope they are accused of government resources, our resources, to have those things removed. I hope that is their money, gotta get enough money. They got enough money. I hope that is PPP money, election money, were used to have those things removed and not the taxpayers' money. Not the taxpayers' money. But then we talk about the the tattered flag. And look at next one. Look, this one came up yesterday. Look. This is a picture. This is Vikram Bharat, the minister. Look the national flag. Watch. This is the national flag on a short pole, flagged up on the ground. They're almost standing on it. They're almost standing on the flag. People got to tell you all that too, man. People got to tell you all that is unacceptable. You can't have the flag on the ground, one, and people standing there almost standing on the flag. Almost standing on the flag. Then one of our national symbols. And when we talk about it, people say, oh, you're picking and you're... No. We're talking about standards. We're talking about standards. And you cannot have that. It's a disgrace. And the minister down there is smiling. He's smiling. I think he did with the Exxon man. They're smiling. You want to tell me you didn't see, you're going there. Nobody else see that this flag, Guyana flag, the national flag, is resting on the ground. They said that should not happen. First of all, it looked like the pole that they put it on is too short, or the flag is too big for the pole. Those things are basic stuff that you need to look at. And this is not finding fault and picking at people. Those are some basic things that one would expect, right? Basic things one would expect. You know, let me tell you all a story. Some years ago, it was story. I read about it. I think it was in Venezuela. They had something there. Not Venezuela, some other place. The one with Venezuela is that I was told there was a function there, and the country Montserrat was spelled incorrectly. And if people walk out, they spell a Montserrat, Monstrat. That's how it was, Montserrat. And if you objected to it, and I remember there was an issue with at Pegasus. I think that would have been 2008 or something around then. Caribbean Commissioners Conference, right? And somehow they had the ranks on the TSU with the national flag of each country, and as the country's name was called, the rank would emerge with the flag, and the commissioner will come behind. They call a particular country, I can't know which country, and the police from TSU marching up briskly with the flag, and nobody was coming behind him. No one was coming behind him. When they do find out, it was because it was the wrong flag. They called the country, but the flag that the man was walking there was the wrong flag. So the commissioner for that country refused to go behind that flag. Refused to go behind that flag. These things are important. Protocol important. Protocol is very, very important. So let me move on. As I said, CC is still out of the studio. Let me move on. Well, you're right. You're right. So when we talk about protocol for flags and all this thing, maybe that was when we had the motto, one people, one nation, one destiny. Well, now that has gone through the window, so now it's one Guyana. So maybe in this one Guyana, all those things are acceptable in this one Guyana they talk about. All those things are acceptable. Let me remind you too, Amerindian Heritage Month is this month. And one of the students reminded me, actually upbraided me, and I almost forget about the, for the past couple of days, maybe I did not mention the days since Sergeant Vaughn, Alex Vaughn died, right? Vaughn. And today is 543 days. So student, thanks for reminding me, but today is 543 days since Police Sergeant Alex Vaughn was shot and killed. He was shot and killed on the 12th of March, 2024. Perhaps it's one of the things the new Minister of Home Affairs can inquire into, get briefing on what is the position. Police Sergeant shot and killed 543 days ago, and initially they said that he was shot accidentally by one of his colleagues, and then they went silent. They went silent day after. So let me understand. Let's understand. Commissioner, when you talk about protocol, a lot of these things, when you look protocol, let me tell you all a story about protocol. I like to share these experiences. I was Commander A Division, and they had national flag raising at the national park, right? Now, you had a situation where, because the ministers of the government then, I think it would have been Maharaj Jagdio's government, they don't understand protocol. So the president is there, and they come in after, and they do all sort of things. So on this day, this night, I was there. Chandran Sharma was a very popular man then, right? So the president arrived, and people settled in, and Chandran Sharma chose to walk in after the president. He walked on the tarmac. And if you hear the roar, everybody greeting Sharma. So nobody had paid much time or any time to the president. And this thing, they look so bad. Larry Lewis was commissioning. What's going on there? So I tell you, and so on. And of course, I get a tongue licking from Larry Lewis that I should not have allowed anyone to go. So I said, accept it or accept. Next year, as part of the plan, same place, we decided that once the president arrived, the gates are going to be locked until such time that the president finishes his speech and things to allow people in. So, instructions, all the gate locked. Man, and all them, the ministers, I remember my countryman was one of them. They're coming after. They were locked out of the arrangement. They were locked out. They were kept out. I said, sorry, the president is already here, and until there's a break, we're not allow any all to go in. They jump around, phone calling and thing, you know me. Phone calling, I ain't got no time with them, and I guess they learn the lesson. So you got to understand these protocols. The president turning up at function, and then afterward you see ministers running in and all sort of crap. That should not be. That should not be. They tell you that the queen, they used to tell us in church, the queen is never late. The queen is never late. So the queen had to come for a function at 12. That is what was said. I know how true it is. At 12, they would either put the clock back or something like that to make sure that when the clock said 12, then she called. If she's delayed for any reason, is when you're not delayed for long, a minute or two, but that is the type of thing that you need to have. But these people come in and they're doing all kind of thing. And then they talk about standards. And then they can't understand how these indisciplined and lack of protocol translate to other things in the society, which we're going to talk about a little later in terms of the acts, in terms of the carnage on the road and all that. We're going to talk about it. Moving on, as I enter this button, we learned too about this thing that we reported here on Friday last, about this 8-year-old who was raped and buggered by some adult. And then over the weekend, the police came out with some nonsensical nonsense to tell us about the man was in custody. Even the timing they get mixed up, and they put him $200,000 bail, and he couldn't find the bail, so the bail was reduced to $20,000, and all sorts of nonsense they told us. Then the man was to go to court on the 17th. He didn't appear, and then they went to serve summons on him. It's a whole set of strictness. And they then end the release by saying they were in the process of preparing a wanted bulletin. But it looked like the process ain't done, because I can't recall seeing any wanted bulletin for this man. I can't recall seeing any wanted bulletin. Maybe it was published and I didn't see it, but I'm telling you, I cannot recall seeing any wanted bulletin for this man who is alleged to have raped this 8-year-old girl. This beast, can't call him man, because if he's man, then I'm not man. This beast who is alleged to have raped and buggered this 8-year. And as the people say, the reason why the man was treated in that manner by the police is because he get political connection. A certain minister who himself was embroiled in all sort of unsavory scandal, a male minister soliciting sex from a young boy. They say he's his family, and he might have intervened. That is what the allegation is. And talking about wanted bulletin too, the issue of the wanted bulletin, they told us that this man escaped during the week from the Friendship Magistrate Court. And up to now, we haven't heard, I have not seen them say the circumstances under which this man get away. I can't recall seeing the circumstances under which this man get away. Yeah, the man got away. This is a man who was charged with murder. And this man get away from the magistrate court. How come? Give us an explanation. What happened there? Give us an explanation. A murder suspect, one would expect, would have been at least handcuffed. Yali and Takumo Gunsi was handcuffed and shackled. Other people are handcuffed and shackled for far less offenses. And this murder suspect obviously wasn't handcuffed and shackled. Because he was handcuffed and shackled, I can't see how he get away. Right? So we don't know. We don't know. Right? So we need to know, what are the, did he escape or was he allowed to leave? I think that's the pertinent question. Did this man escape or was he allowed to walk out of the magistrate court? Who was responsible for him? Was he, is it a case where he was in prison and then he was taken to the court, or was he in police custody and taken to the court? If that's the case, who were the persons involved and responsible? These are the questions that should be asked. And I'm saying this, and y'all might believe I'm just knocking y'all. So I know these things are important, because if you don't correct it, it can happen again and again. And it has been happening repeatedly, all because you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Right? You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. I understand many of you can't do anything because you don't know the system. Many of you get big rank. Ask them if they know how to try a disciplinary matter. No. And then what they do, they cowboy the junior ranks. They cowboy them. But how do you get people in senior positions? And those basic things, if they had gone through proper training, they would have learned how to present matters, how to draft charges, how to try matters if you turn officer and you're a justice of the peace. But they know, so they just let them things slide. And because those things are sliding, the discipline will slide as well. Because ranks at all levels are to be held accountable for their action. But so I thought I mentioned that. Now, let me move on. Let me go straight into this issue that we talk about with this this issue with the accidents on the road, carnage on the road. Let me find the notes, right? Let me find the traffic situation. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. It is a national crisis. It is a national crisis. And apparently they don't see it like that. And I say this because over the past couple of days, right? Yesterday, I think it was, Linden Suzac Highway again, which is now a death trap. Linden Suzac Highway, a death trap. A vehicle ran into some truck that was, they said was broken down and parked there. Left park on the road. Some broken down truck. Deja vu. Deja vu. This thing happening over and over. And what are they doing? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So it has been reported that I think these people, Chinese, 3 people, one person is still serious in hospital or critical. I'm not sure how it's categorized. But based on what they say, this truck broke down and parked on the Linden Suzac Highway. And early in the morning, this pickup heading towards Linden or somewhere there ran into the back of the vehicle. Obviously, no reflector, no light, nothing to that. Ran into the back. And I saw a statement here. God, it was they got a program entitled Police and You. And I saw the video with the traffic chief, Assistant Commissioner Mahendra Singh, and Superintendent Clark. I listened to them, and then there's a release in the thing. Let me read the release to you, and then we're going to analyze it. I am going to analyze it. It says, and this was dated the 23rd, but I only saw it, I think, yesterday. Traffic Chief Mahendra Singh and Superintendent Ron Clark are pushing back against the perception that reckless drivers on the roadways purchase their license rather than earn them the legal way. So they said they're pushing back. Superintendent Clark, speaking on the matter during the recent Police and You episode, pointed to the behavior of some drivers as evidence that reckless, not the lack of knowledge, is often the root cause of road accidents and fatalities. Quote, when you look at persons driving without a safety helmet, I wouldn't think that a man has to study a package to know that putting a helmet on your head affords safety, end of quote, Clark stated. He went on to say that majority of the accidents involving motorcyclists result in head injuries, and most times those injuries are fatal. Motorcyclists have accounted for the majority of road deaths recorded so far this year. Superintendent Clark stressed that in many cases, drivers attempt to shift blame onto the police while ignoring their own role in unsafe practices. Quote, people try to bombast the police, but they themselves are part of the nonsense happening on the road, end of quote. Quote again, listening to persons involved in accident, they would say they slow down at a stop sign, but you have to study a license to know that you have to stop. The vehicles cannot travel fast unless you accelerate, end of quote, Clark posited. When reviewing CCTV footage for accidents, Clark said drivers contribute 98% to 99% to the cause. He added that most times the accidents could have been avoided. On the issue of license buying allegation, Clark said there is a legal procedure to obtain your driver's license. Quote, if you get yourself involved in buying or selling license, you are equally responsible for corruption, end of quote. Superintendent Clark said, as he urged citizens to purchase and study the driver's package, sit the exam, and apply the knowledge gained while driving. Meanwhile, Traffic Chief Singh echoed similar sentiments. According to the Traffic Chief, accountability in police corruption allegation must cut both ways. Quote, if you have evidence, come forward, because as much as the police may be accused of something, you are putting your hands into something too. You are equally culpable and involved, end of quote, Singh said. He assured the public that the licensing system has improved over time and called for greater personal responsibility from all road users. Now, they say a lot there. Say a lot. Now, the first thing I want to say is this, and I know they are listening. I know they are listening or they will be told. Mr. Clark, you are a young, promising officer, and you should not get involved in this, what we call BS. You have to admit that things are not the way they are, and as a bright young officer, seek to make proper suggestions and to deal recommendations to address the issue. No one can deny that there is corruption in the process. No one. From their personal experience, from other evidence, no one can deny. And then, so I say this to you, Mr. Clark. You know me, I know you. And don't go down the road. Don't go down the road. That might be what the others are saying. But as a young officer, don't sell your credibility like them. Because many of them have no credibility at this stage. None. So you don't go down that road. Now, let me say this. The traffic chief said, if you have evidence, come forward, because as much as the police may be accused of something, you are putting your hands into something too. You are equally culpable and involved. That's in the corruption he's saying. I agree that the giver is as guilty as the taker. But let me say something. When demands are made with menace, there was a charge we used to charge police with. Or when you're demanding with menace, it's not easy. When a man is there having to go to work, you got a family to look after and all of this thing, or you're demanding money from me, or you're threatening me if you don't give you the money, you're going to lock up and all. It's not easy to resist. It's not easy. Sometimes the person realize that, look, if I am to do the right thing, it means I'm going to detain, I might last my work, I might miss a flight. It's not easy, right? So what I'm just saying, Assistant Commissioner in charge of traffic, if you want to talk about evidence, let me give you some evidence. Ranks from right at traffic headquarters, I'll call the name, were charged criminally for corruption involving the sale of driver's license. Ranks right at the traffic headquarters. So ranks, plural, more than one. Charge. Rohan Singh, retired special senior superintendent, when he was at the audit department, he did an audit and found that there was corruption in the learner driver process. It was published, it is there. You're talking about evidence. If you recall, one or more ranks from the Guyana Revenue Authority charged criminally in relation to corruption in driver's license process. So you come and spew this nonsense about evidence. The evidence is there. Well, y'all don't want to work on the evidence, right? Y'all don't want. He said, according to the traffic chief accountability, they said, if you have evidence and all that, and then they talk about the system, he assured the public that the licensing system has improved over time and called for greater personal responsibility. The licensing system is a big problem. Let's understand this thing clearly. Because I can tell you, as I've said before, that the current learner driver system is a system I, as traffic chief, implemented many, many years ago. And it became corrupted over the years. Many years. I was last traffic chief around, I think, 2000 or 1999, something there. And it was implemented before that. So that is more than 25 years old. And with all that is going on, it is time that the system be reviewed, because when that system was introduced with this learner driver package and so on, it was a great improvement from what existed at the time. Great improvement. But and the entire system was never improved. But I am saying this to you, I got a strong suspicion that based on what is going on now, that needs to be reviewed and revamped. Not because I put it in place all these years. All y'all jumping around and talking and jumping around and saying, have you ever sat down to see if this thing is still fit for purpose? Have you ever done that with all the allegations of corruption and all of that? Have you ever sat down and said, well, look, maybe this thing needs to be tweaked? Have you ever done that? But you come and you talk. Let me analyze something more as we await and hope that CC will get a little power to come back in. Talk about the behavior of drivers. Now, when you talk about the behavior of drivers, and you rightly said that, yeah, maybe the behavior of driver, but these things are not mutually exclusive. The behavior of driver cannot be totally divorced from the fact that the man might have bought his license and so on. So when you have accidents, as you may well know, sometimes there are a multiplicity of things that come together that converge to cause the accident. Many times I know one thing. For example, on the Linden Highway, it might be a case where One, the vehicle broke down. No lights, speeding, all of those things, road conditions, all of those things might converge to have these disasters that we're having. So another one thing to say, well, all right, if man stop on all these type of things. I know because we have moved far, far, far away from that. You talk about stop. Let me tell you this. The older police will tell you, what is stop, what is to stop, what is it, what it means to stop. And folks, the younger one might not recognize this, but back in the day, I'm talking about the maybe early 70s and so on, late 60s, perhaps even before that. There's a stop sign, stop line. You stop, you get a line. If your vehicle, the wheels of your vehicle went beyond that line, you are charged of failing to stop. Because when you talk about stop, you have to stop beyond the stop line. And if you recall, the older people will remember, in many cases, it wasn't painted. You had some metal things in the metal spikes in the road surface, spelling out the word stop. And if you dare to roll past, to go past that, and them traffic men enforcers see you, you get charged of failing to stop, because the law says stop means you must be behind the line. And if you go forward of the line, then you unstop. You unstop. And then you get things like rolling, stop, and all these type of things. So let me understand. Because if a person now, let me understand, and anyone I want, any student will take a comment. If you're driving anywhere in Guyana, and there's a stop line, and your vehicle stop beyond the stop, you pass the stop line then. Your front wheel pass beyond the stop line, right? You think anybody charging you for failing to stop? You will any court convict you for failing to stop? No, they're not going to do that, because it is now acceptable, even though the law says, defines what is stop, and people would violate the law as it relates to stop. All well and good, nobody is dealing with that. Nobody, and yes, it still applies. God, the law has not been amended. That is what stop means. That is what stop means, right? And let me go and again. I say people listen with the accident, but slow down, and people riding without motorcycle helmet and so on. Clarky, you can't come here and talk about that when police, their hands are tied in terms of the enforcement. The hands are tied. You talk about motorcycles. And again, don't follow them when you go on. You say motorcycles account for the majority. What is the majority? Give us figures, man. Give us figures. You are university trained. Give us figures. Tell us of this many accidents that you have. So many were motorcycles were involved. So many deaths resulted in those. Give us figure. Come across as being credible. Your reputation and your credibility must mean everything to you. And take it from me. Your reputation and your credibility must mean everything. I know. And here, let me tell you this. Part of the big problem that they have, the police have, is that they feel responsible for the carnage on the road. So they feel obliged to come with all of these statements and showing blame. This thing has gone, as I've said before, this has gone beyond police. This is not the police alone. The government has to get involved in this whole issue. There are so many ministries and agencies that have to get involved. I get some notes I'm gonna go through. The Ministry of Home Affairs, GRA, Ghana Revenue Authority, Ministry of Works, the magistracy, all of these things, insurance companies, the people dealing with engineering and all of these type of things, all got to be involved. This is a national crisis, and this is not, even though the lax enforcement by the police might have resulted to what it is, police alone can't solve this now. Cannot. So understand this clearly. Police can't solve this by themselves. This has taken on national proportions. National proportions. You imagine almost every week, check for the start of this year, Linden Highway alone, how many accidents you have had. Fatal accidents. And the thing is that almost on every occasion where you have these multiple deaths, basically the same thing. Some vehicle break down, park on the road. Some vehicle going up, crashing to the back of this vehicle. People, they had multiple deaths. Same thing, and they have not done anything to address it. I'm going to make some recommendations as to how it can be dealt with. I'm going to make recommendations this afternoon as to what should happen with that situation. Then yes, you have a situation too where now you have a lot of vehicles on the road, and you have called it development. Not enough vehicles, same roads. Well, there will be marginal increases in roads. So we understand this. Many vehicles you're bringing in. Nobody knows, nobody follows the rule of the road. There's no rule of the road in Guyana. I said to somebody recently that those markings on the road, solid line and dotted line and all them everything, most of the drivers see them as decoration. They don't know what the meaning, what those things mean. They see them as decoration. Even police vehicles driving, you would see them overtaking at solid lines and all that. Police vehicles undertaking and all of those type of things. And they don't know. So yes, it's good to say that and they like to say reckless driving and senselessness and all these type of things. But the reality is that this thing has taken on national proportions. And the government of Guyana has to spearhead the drive. Not that nonsense what they're doing, the tweaking regulation, legislation here, and tweaking legislation here, and coming out with statement and all these things. You got the president himself coming out and talk about tint and siren and vehicles. What happened? Nothing. Nothing. You tweak law, you change law to deal with driving under the influence, increase fine to minimum of 200,000. Minimum of 200,000. You get courts imposing less than that. You implement, you change now, instead of causing death in certain circumstances, motor manslaughter. What has happened? You tell us about all them thousands of traffic tickets that you're issuing, and what has happened? Have they resulted in any change in behavior? No. The evidence suggests no. So you're all just talking and wasting time. You're wasting time. Let me say this. As I say, I got a lot of suggestions to make. Some of these things were mentioned before, but I'm going to go through them again. I'm going to go through them again for what it's worth, because some are also new. Some of these, let me deal first with the Linden Highway situation. Linden Highway. That's a death trap. The Linden-Suzik Highway has become a death trap. Let me take you all back in time. Back in the day, they had a dedicated Linden, you had a highway patrol base. I think it was Long Creek or Lou Creek, some of those places, a highway patrol base to patrol the highway exclusively. They had the two toll gates, one at Kurukuru or somewhere before Yarakabra, the first one, and then you had the second one at Bamia, right? There was a time when speeding has always been a problem on the highway. I remember very well, the older police remember this too. Traffic Chief Philbert Clement, I think that was the traffic chief at the time. They implemented a system that all vehicles traversing the Linden Highway, if you're going towards Linden, when you reach the first toll gate, the police will note the time you arrive there, the vehicle number and all of that. And then there was a time within which you were expected to reach, you can reach to the second toll gate within that time, because if you reach there within that time, you are deemed to be speeding. The thing was well worked out. All those were initiatives. They brought some motor vehicles that were, they didn't bring in it specifically for the highway, but some American vehicles, I think they were Falcon cars, were put to traverse and to do patrols on the Linden-Suzik Highway, right? It is time, and this is one of the suggestions, it is a time, like yesterday, y'all establish a Linden-Suzik Patrol Safety Unit. Listen to me. A Linden-Suzik Highway Patrol Safety Unit based at some place. I don't know. And having a base is not anything difficult. The president will go to some market, as he went to Monripo or he went to Border Market, and say, outpost. And within 24 hours, you get outposts, right? So don't tell me that you don't have buildings and so on. That is the least of your problem. establish a highway safety patrol unit. Equip it with proper vehicles and manpower. It must be operational 24 hours a day. The mode of operation must be that they're crisscrossing. As one comes up, one goes down, and they're crossing. It's a safety unit. So they're looking to make sure that there's safety. They're dealing with safety, including preventing people from speeding. But they have to also, those vehicles also have to be equipped with warning signs and devices. Right? Cones, traffic cones, triangular reflective signs. Right? This portable, like you see in the States and all of that. Hornet, yeah, the Hornet motor cars. Yeah, Hornet. I said Falcon, Hornet. Thank you, Patrick. You have to have these portable electronic signs. Therefore, the vehicle, perhaps cars wouldn't be appropriate. Maybe you gotta get like pickup type vehicles, so where these equipments are the tray of the vehicles. And the purpose there is that when the vehicles go, if they see any dangerous situation, like a broken down vehicle, they can then put signs to warn people of the danger ahead. Broken down vehicle, some of these broken down vehicles, they break down with lugs protruding far behind. So you can put up your triangular signs and all of that. The portable electronic signs at a reasonable distance, so people are warned that there's danger ahead. Highly visible signs. And it can't cost much to have that done. All it requires is some thinking. All it requires is some thinking. But I'm sure if y'all, first of all, you're gonna listen to the to what I'm saying, and then you're gonna say, well, because Slow said it ain't making sense. But I'm sure that if you all get together and decide, look, forcefully tell the new ministers, well, we need this, I'm sure they can source some of these things immediately in Guyana overnight. And within a short space of time, whatever have to be imported, they can get those things in. Because we're talking about lives. We're talking about lives. So you get those signs. The vehicles, and let me say again, this is not reinventing the wheel. The reason I can wrap it off like this, because when the Scottish were here, and we were working on reform, and we were looking at traffic, that was one of the ideas that came up. You start on the highway, and all around the places, you get these safety vehicles that going around with signs and so on. To many places, you go around the place, they get mud in the middle of the road, look, graves on the motorcycle on the back of the garden there, run into mud. You get heaps of sand, building waste, all those things inside the carriageway. In many cases, you travel along the East Coast, East Bank, containers taking up either the old carriageway or half of a carriageway. Dangerous. So that's one of the things you need to do, right? That's one of the things. Let me go through some more, man. Right? Let me go through some more. Let me walk through, because I've made a lot of notes here. And all I'm saying, that all you need to do is sit down and have proper thinking. People, that is damn thing where everybody come in and no, there's no corruption is part of the thing. And that is why we say, I said before, one of the things that the government has to do is to put together a Department of Transportation, critical as part of this whole reform process that I'm recommending. That is more medium term, a Department of Transportation. But in the short term, almost immediately, a highway patrol safety unit based on the Linden Suzdijk Highway, properly equipped with motor vehicle ranks and the necessary warning devices. Of course, radar and all of these things for speeding. And I'm sure that you're going to see almost immediate improvement. Because if you have proper sign, well, you understand it clearly. Mr. Singh, Mr. Clark, I'm talking to the commissioner, the new minister. The evidence suggests that the reason we have these smash-ups on the highway is because these vehicles are parked. There's no reflector, there's no warning sign, there's nothing. And therefore, common sense would tell us that if we were to put those things in place, the probability of these accidents is going to be reduced drastically. Because a man driving along the highway and the vehicle breaks down, he might not have the wherewithal to repair it. So the vehicle is going to be there, rest perhaps in the middle of the carriageway for some time. If it's daytime, people likely to see it. If it's nighttime, with the highway don't have lights and all these things, it's trouble. It's disaster we're looking for. But if we have this dedicated patrol and they going around and they see these things and they put signs, we're going to deal with the other aspect later, because I'm thinking too that you're going to get legislation perhaps where when such things happen, these drivers, the driver of the vehicle, have to have a legal responsibility to put safety mechanisms in place to warn people of the danger. He might not be responsible. You drive here, you get blown out, bow, your tire gone. You can't blame the driver necessarily. He might be blamed for lack of maintenance and all of that. But he must have a legal responsibility to put up signs that to warn people of what is there. So we have to have that. You have to have, and I'm sure, as I'm saying, common sense. There's going to be no rocket science. If that is done, one can expect a reduction of these accidents where vehicles are parked, broken down and parked, and people run smack bang into them. Because let me understand what happened here, let me understand what happens there. I'm on driving, and then all of a sudden, the Linden-Suzik highway speed limit is 100 kilometers. And if you're driving at 100 kilometers, you're driving within the speed limit, you're not reckless, and then all of a sudden this dark object appears in front of you, you might be able to swerve from it. And in swerving, for all you know, you're going to topple. But you might be able to swerve. But all these accidents are occurring, it is clear that the people seeing this thing at the last moment and then getting no opportunity to swerve. So it's flush the driving into these things. Flush the driving into these things, killing the people in the vehicle. And you ask them, what you all doing? What are you people doing? Let me give some. So Department of Transportation. Somebody spoke just now, or somebody messaged talk about commercial driving license. The whole process of getting a license, driver's license in Ghana, has to be looked at. I said before, that should not be a responsibility of the Ghana Police Force. I think that there are very few countries, if any at all, in the world, other than Guyana, where police responsible for fitness of vehicle, police responsible for conducting the test to determine whether you're qualified to drive. Everything is police. Everything is police. That should not be a responsibility of the police. Get the Department of Transportation. They will look after the whole process of people getting tested to acquire a driver's license. They will deal, some branch in that department will deal of certification of motor vehicles. Because what we have now, they go to get your fitness certified. And in many cases, or perhaps, well, most of the cases, the policeman who's a licensed and certified officer is a routine check. This man can check to see if your trafficator working, if your lights are working, and your windscreen wiper. Basic. Maybe he looks at the tire to see the tread. He doesn't even get instrument to check tread depth and all and everything. All of those things. And again, I say, when an accident occurs, have you analyzed it carefully to see maybe it's as a result of smooth tires? You check to see what was the road condition at the time to see if that would have impacted on the fatal accident or any accident for that matter. Do you have the skill sets to have those things done? Right? So those are the things. And again, don't listen to, it's not about the messenger, it's about the message. And I can say these things because I was the traffic chief in Guyana on 2 occasions. 2 occasions I was traffic chief. And those who know that when I was traffic chief, a lot of the nonsense couldn't take place. A lot of the nonsense could not take place because I was a very proactive traffic chief. Very proactive traffic chief. People who were wrong in the 90s can tell you I was slow as a traffic chief. And then I'm blowing the old trumpet. I'm telling you the truth. And people who are honest and know will tell you the truth. So you have a situation with a driver's license. What qualifies a person to get a driver's license? You're supposed to be able to do the theoretical test. After the theoretical test, you're supposed to do a practical test. When you do, and the practical test is supposed to be done by day and by night. I don't know that they have night driving and all of that. When all of that is done, the licensed and certifying officer will give you a certificate of competence. So the police don't issue the driver's license. They issue a certificate of competence, which is then taken to the Guyana Revenue Authority. And based on that, the Guyana Revenue Authority will issue you with your driver's license. And the category, you got to look at category 2. Where's a car? Minibus? Of course, there's nothing like a minibus in the laws of Guyana. All of that you need to look at. The laws of Guyana do not provide for a category of vehicle called minibus. After all these years, there's no such thing as a minibus. It's a misnomer, minibus. You have to look at that. Commercial driver's license. We get people driving big truck. Examine what qualifies them to be able to drive a truck, especially these days with all the construction going on. Men get some big vehicle loaded with sand and other buildings and speeding down the road. Men with little experience. They don't have a thing to say, well, after so many hours, you got to stop and you got to rest. It's lawlessness, it's madness. And people will tell you, many of those people imbibing and driving, all of those things you have to look at. You have to look at all of those things. What qualifies a person to drive? We have had situations, for example, the latest accident there, they say, I think the two men, either Chinese national or something like that. Check out how they get license, if they have license. Truck driver, we had an accident in the East Bank, 21-year-old or something, truck driver. You got to look at all of those things. It is a comprehensive examination that has to be done. You got to admit that the thing gone bad, and this is Guyanese parlance, the thing bad, and therefore we have got to sit down. We have got to take all these factors into consideration and come up with a proper plan to address it. Some of the things I've suggested before, like the Linden, you don't require no change of law with that. You don't require no change of law. It's just for somebody to call the area slow, say, hey, area slow, say, come now. Let's get vehicles and put there. Let's get some rank to go now and walk on the highway. If you don't have a base initially, they can get the vehicles crisscrossing and dealing. They have to be properly briefed, so you got to know what is the purpose of them being on the highway. What is the purpose of that patrol? Highway safety patrol. Let me give you some more nuggets. Let me give some nuggets. You talk about electronic tickets, as I've said. You issue all them enough thousands and thousands of tickets. Have you analyzed to see if they have had any positive impact on the behavior of drivers? Because understand what we're dealing with here, you know. We're dealing with a culture of lawlessness. Guyana, on the roads and elsewhere. But let me confine the discussion this afternoon to the culture of lawlessness on the road. Even though the other aspects impact what is going on the road. It's a culture of lawlessness. And I was taught that it is not easy to change a culture. And perhaps you are going to look to see what is a culture. It's not easy to change a culture. Can't change a culture overnight. You have to have sustained methods and efforts to change a culture. I see y'all dealing with people riding the motorcyclists and all them type of thing. All those by themselves can't change the culture on the road. Can't change the culture. You have to look at every aspect. And I'm saying to you that when you're dealing with this thing, you are concentrating on motorcyclists and so on. All categories of road users, including pedestrians. Let me repeat that. All categories of road users you have to address, including pedestrians. You got pedestrian crossing 3 or 4 feet away, while walking someplace else. Right? People walking in town where they get traffic lights. They don't know that the traffic lights control pedestrian traffic too. They don't know. They don't know that. So when we talk about education, Mr. Clark, all of those things, they don't know that. I said that because in the manner in which they operate suggests to us that they don't know that. You have to look at all of that. So you talk about private car drivers, hire car drivers, truck drivers, minibus drivers, motorcyclists, pedecyclists, Arjran vehicles, pedestrian. All categories you have to look at. All categories you have to look at. That's the only way you can come up with some proper, sensible plan to address the issue. But when you single out, you deal with a campaign now with motorcycle. Then after a couple of morning, they're done. You come up with some slogan, respect the road. You get the extended squatter, the commissioner, expending government resources to put up billboard with the picture. Big one, I remember seeing one at Kitty roundabout there, another one at Windsor Forest somewhere there on the west coast of Demerara. Big billboard. I suspect is thousands and thousands of dollars would have been spent on those billboards. Respect the road with a photograph of the commissioner. How that can lead to the improvement of the traffic situation? Tell me how. Tell me how. You got a commissioner there last year when he called in all the traffic heads. Because you know each division had someone in charge of traffic, call them and transfer all them. That's the method. Transfer everybody. And then he said that they must he wants policemen must line the roads. They must line all the roads to prevent speeding. What has happened since then? Right? I mean, that was so nonsensical to say that policemen must line the roads to prevent speeding. Nonsensical. You have a situation here which you observe. Because of the indiscipline on the road, you are forced to put traffic police to direct traffic in roundabouts. Nowhere else in the world that I have traveled, I've ever seen that. Roundabouts are meant to direct the traffic efficiently. That's providing you have a disciplined driving population. But the mere fact that you have to put policemen at peak hours in the roundabouts to direct traffic, that's an admission. That is an admission that the driving public is not disciplined enough. Not disciplined enough. I said before, I can understand policemen at peak hours at traffic lights, like on the East Coast. Yeah, because the traffic lights, it is established, the ones that we have, the mechanical lights that you have, are not very efficient. They are effective, but they are not efficient. What do I mean by that? You get it at the intersection, and maybe nothing is coming in the one direction. Nothing is coming, but the light is green. So the area where the traffic is flowing, the light is red. But that is effectiveness because it come and ready, got to stop. But it is not efficient because it is stopping you when there is no real need for you to stop. Not efficient, but the roundabouts were designed to be efficient. And again, it's providing you have a disciplined driving population. Because you get into the roundabout, you give way, you yield to traffic on your right, and you think, and you march, and you move. But we ain't get there. We don't have that in this place called Guyana. So all of those are things that you have to look at. Let me tell you further too. As I said, everybody, president pronounced on this thing. The Agile pronounced. I'm talking about the carnage on the road. Robeson Ben, Ikin, everybody, the traffic chief, and all of them. When I talked about the traffic earlier with Ikin thing, he moved, Steve Muzu was there. Competent traffic man, he put my interesting. I suspect that if you have to do a proper analysis, the thing has gotten worse since Singh has been there. And I'm saying this, you don't have to necessarily come up in traffic to be an effective traffic chief. When I was put into traffic, I had no direct traffic experience. I had traffic experience as a policeman. But when Larry Lewis called me and told me to relieve short traffic, right? I had never investigated any accident. I had never held a traffic tape saying measuring and all this other thing. But I was a manager. And you get into the thing and you analyze. I call all the traffic heads together. All of them, Semple and Wilson and all this. I call them together. And I listen to them. We made suggestions. We addressed issues. We didn't just accept the status quo, right? Boston and all of these people, we didn't just accept. And then we came up and we made tremendous, tremendous changes to the system that we had there. Very impactful changes that are there on today like today. But it would appear as though people don't sit down now and analyze these things. You get new roads going up, you get all sort of thing happening, more vehicles, and people are not sitting down, I believe, to carefully analyze and therefore change maybe what needs to be changed to make sure that things can operate properly. You have that. And they will tell you repeatedly that when you check, they've been to university, the guys at a degree and diplomas, right? But what is the sense of having all of these qualifications, all of these things on paper, when we're not putting these things into use, right? And somebody said first half 62 fatalities. No, can't be. Can't be. Some time ago they said 70. A few months ago they said they had 70 fatalities. And they're talking about accidents. They're telling you accidents and incidents. But I'm saying that when you talk about road deaths, whether it's a result of accident or result of incident, it got to be many more than that. Must be many more than this 62 what they're reporting. And that is part of the problem. You're cocking the figure so you can never get a clear understanding of what the problem is, right? Police, industry, government, all of them. And the courts have a role to play, a major role to play. The courts, the judicial branch got a major role to play. When last have you heard of a magistrate disqualifying someone from holding or obtaining a driver's license, having been found guilty with some dangerous driving charge? That's a rare thing. But the law is there that if you're found guilty of dangerous driving, in addition to whatever fine the magistrate may impose on you, the magistrate can also disqualify you from holding or obtaining a driver's license for a specific period of time. And the law says that if when you are suspended, you go ahead and you drive, what the penalty will be. You disqualify. When last is someone suspended, the law gives the licensing authority, who is the Minister of Home Affairs, the authority to suspend a driver's license if a person is charged with causing death by dangerous driving, suspend you, take away your license for a period. All of these are measures that have to be put in place to understand, to get to change this culture. They need to be to a dedicated traffic court like they used to have back in the day. Dedicated traffic court to deal with all these traffic matters. Because if you're telling me about thousands and thousands of tickets being issued, and you're talking about how many charges you all make and so on, you need to have a traffic court dedicated to deal with that. And somebody suggests maybe even in the night, you get night court. You know, we had night court in Ghana to deal with issues. Court in the night to deal all of those things we have got to, they told us, and we know they're building more courts, get more magistrates and all of that. Good. But we have got to make sure that those things are effective. Those measures are effective. Traffic court is a must. We have some traffic magistrate, Sharon Eden, a lady from Sri Lanka, Krishna Venichinta, dedicated traffic magistrate. People were afraid to go before them, including policemen. They were afraid if you're caught, because in them days, police used to charge police for breaking the traffic law. They were afraid to go. And let me pause here to tell you, I got good news. I see Mr. Conway just entered the studio. So part he get back power. So let me, sure he might have been listening. And even if he wasn't listening, I know he knows that we're going to be talking about traffic. So I want to give him an opportunity now to have his say. CC, welcome back, man. I'm glad you get back your power. I'm glad.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you hear what I was saying?
No. I know, come on. I wasn't hearing you. I wasn't getting the internet.
But I was talking about the traffic situation, and I'll give you an opportunity to give your input about the traffic situation, even though you might repeat some of the things that I have said. You don't mind. So let me hear you on it. Go ahead.
I said over and over again that there is no silver bullet to deal with traffic. There's no one-shot solution. And we need a holistic effort to deal with the traffic situation. What the traffic people doing is that they picking on the overhanging fruits. And the more they pick, other fruits will come up. What they need to do is to look at the main route, cut the main route, and the tree will die, or just stop producing fruits. But this piecemeal effort cannot work. And then is everybody got to play their role? The magistrates has got to play their role. We're hearing about thousands of traffic tickets issued. Who paying the tickets? Is there any checks and balance to see everybody paying the tickets? And then if the system is the issue with the ticket, I think you have 14 days in which to pay it, or a pay in court if you want to contest it. The police has got to check and see whether the person pays the ticket. And if the person doesn't pay the ticket, they do a complaint with a note going from the magistrate, and the person's name is called to attend court. Well, the person is told either you pay the ticket or you're paying court and so on. So the date appears, the matter is called if the person is there. They have what you call an ex parte trial. You can't just issue a one like that. The police has got to go in the witness box and give the evidence, and they must decide whether the person is guilty or not guilty. And if guilty, a fine, either you pay a fine or you go to prison. But magistrates ain't doing no ex parte trial. I know they're wrong with magistrate. They want discrediting the chief magistrate. So I know the thing will work. That they got to be ex parte trial. In my days as an orderly, or in my days as a man who used to issue traffic tickets, because I was a general duty man and I had traffic ticket book. Me and 9520 Hassan at my Kuni. And we used to issue tickets, and you go to court and you give ex parte trial, ex parte evidence, but then magistrate and do no ex parte. They just set aside a certain date, say all Tuesday afternoon, ex parte, a total effort. And also the ascended general duty ranks, the commanders got to get actively involved. The uniform section, the general duty got to get actively involved. It's not a one-shot solution. And then again, to this traffic situation got to be data driven. It got to be driven by data, where you analyze the data and then you use your human and other resources to deal with the situation. Analyze the data, look at trends. Is this a trend? Is this a pattern? Is this a series? Is this a hotspot? I remember when they were doing the citizen security program. They established what we call ISIS. Yes, we had ISIS in Guyana, Integrated Crime Information System, which was fed to Ministry of Affairs, which is, it should have been there, should have been to the police, and they employ analysts who would analyze the situation and then give you back the information to the police so that you can take corrective action. What they need is a integrated traffic information system where they have things like a on a daily basis. What's going on? You input the information, and based on the information you input, you take action. The traffic people has got to understand reality, and reality is not what you want or what you hope to happen or what you expect to happen. Reality is what is happening, and unless they understand and appreciate what is happening, they can't bring this madness under control. I said before, there's no silver bullet, there's no one-shot solution. It needs a holistic approach, and all must be involved. The police, the public, the magistrate, and everybody, or the nonsense. And then police too, they got to do what you call job rotation. They got to get job enlargement, job enrichment. I ain't talking about enrichment like how Brutus and the driver and others enrich themselves. I'm talking about enrichment in terms of the knowledge of the job. And then they have to use the technical, the human and people skill and the conceptual skills to deal with it. It's not easy as that, sit down there. That they got to put some brain work in it if they want to think, and they got to be action oriented. They can't be no knee-jerk reaction. And unless that is done, and I know if you mentioned, Paul, I wasn't hearing you about what's going on the highway, that they need to have a 24 hours highway patrol there, and even crash truck also there to, remove those vehicles that are badly parked, broke down, and the driver can't do anything about that. They need to do it. Remember when they had opened the quarantine highway, they had a highway patrol at Adventure, that dealt with the situation. Maybe something like that need to be done.
Yeah, I did mention the highway and I recommend it to them. I'm glad you have reinforced it. I need to establish ASEP, a highway safety patrol. They need to have that. And I told them how we should be equipped and all of that. But they talk some of the things that they need to address to. Because I remember when the Road Safety Association or Council, whatever they call themselves, met sometime recently, not so long ago, with the former British High Commissioner, Greg Quinn, and they have doing something about the traffic. They talk about training, going back to driving school. And that is one of the things I commented on. There's no law or regulation for driving school in Guyana. None whatsoever. So you get people come and they say they get a driving school. But there are no standards. Anyone can decide that he has a driving school, advertise, people come and drive. There are no standards. All of those things you have to look at. Again, you're talking about a crisis. And you have to have an holistic approach to this whole thing. You have to look at all the elements because I repeat, many times when you have an accident, whether fatal or otherwise, it's not only one factor. Several factors might converge to this accident to occur. So you have got to look at all of those things. Can you recall not so long ago, they talk about, I think it might have been last year or sometime, changing regulation for people at bars. I may add some old notes that I put up here. They talk about they talk about drinking under the influence of alcohol, right? They talk about body cameras. Remember, people want to get body cameras too. And I had asked the question then. I'm asking it again. Tell us how body cameras worn by the traffic ranks will help in reducing accident. Maybe you might be able to help in dealing with corruption. That is providing the cameras are up and rolling, right? But tell us, they come up with all these nonsensical nonsenseness, and that is part of the problem. You remember they said they amended law to suspend bar license. Remember that? Laws were amended. They say the bar owners have a responsibility not to sell alcohol to drivers, and the bars must carry signage. Do you remember all of those things not so long ago? Then they talk about tickets. In the first 325 days, they had issued 893 tickets. Right? And I had said there is less 3 tickets a day, and they were celebrating that. That was last year. They were celebrating that. We talk about illegal use of siren and flashing light. Who are the culprits? Right? Most of them is people who they call big ones. And the president himself pronounced on that issue. And as far as I'm aware, it's the same. President of the country pronounced on the use of sirens and flashing light, the illegal use of siren and flashing light. And what has happened? Nothing. It's just talk. It's just talk. Then you have they talk about the shops that are selling illegal lights. We talk about and then we ask the question if these things are prohibited. Are these things prohibited? Or shops selling illegal lights, shops selling siren, are they prohibited? They never answer that question. We talk about the talk about truck drivers in pub. What when your truck driver in pub? He's driving, you can charge him because he's in the pub. If he goes out and jump in the vehicle to drive, well, then is the next thing. Once he's over the legal limit, then you can deal with him, right? You can deal with him. Then you have things like one of the things I made a note of some accident, and then the Minister Edgil had come out. He came out. Deepest condolences, thoughts, and prayers. That's all they're telling you. So with the accident, they come deepest condolences, thoughts, and prayers, and our prayers are with you, and that is it. Nothing more, right? It is nothing more. And I had said here, I repeat again, it is evident that the government remains clueless about how to adequately address this epidemic, I call it then. right? They even the president in his New Year message, not this year, last year, at the break of 2024. Do you remember that? He said the carnage on the road. Let me quote him, the president here, in his New Year message for 2024. He said the carnage on our roads, and this is quote, the carnage on our roads will be greeted with a robust road safety and traffic management plan. I intend to have a national conversation on this issue within the coming days. Out of that conversation, new laws, regulations, and technology will be implemented to stop the carnage on our roads. That was the New Year message for 2024. New Year message, the president's New Year message 2024. And at the time, I said the year is almost finished. That's last year, almost finished. And we were still awaiting this conversation that the president promised. I know you had a conversation 5:30 in the morning with the contractors and them, and he think we know this early morning conversation. We know he had a vision early morning at the end of July, and he said he can promote a whole set of police. What? It's just talk. It is just talk and nothing more about talk, right? Nothing more about talk. Then you talk about the trucks. I made a note here. Who examined these trucks to determine the roadworthiness? Who examined all these hundreds, maybe even thousands of trucks traversing all over, all hours of the day, all hours of the night? Who examined these things, right? We talk about the process to get driver's license. And I made the point here too, when I told you the immediate action, highway safety, and all of these things. And let me tell you, again, some of the note before bringing back CC. I say here, one, the traffic situation must be declared a national public health emergency. It is perhaps even more needed now. A national public health emergency. A comprehensive review of the road safety system must be done. And we had talked about the police telling me that people driving and they're not paying attention and it's carelessness. You got to review the entire situation. I said you again, establish a National Department of Transportation, DOT, Department of Transportation, to deal with the administration of law and driver tests, certification of motor vehicles, etc. Regulation, laws, driving schools, driving instructors must have some qualification so they could standardize these things, right? Then I say you have to have the involvement of the insurance companies. When I was the traffic chief, there was a proposal that was made, and they had accepted a part of it, right? A part as it relates to the drivers who were allowed to drive a particular vehicle. They examined that. But we said the premium, you got to examine all of that. And the premium should be, especially with public transportation, the age of the driver, the experience of the driver, all of those things should be considered when we talk about the insurance companies. And what is the third-party insurance up to now? All those things have to be re-examined. I don't know what it is now, but it was some paltry amount. So if you get injured in an accident and the insurance company were to pay you something, it was next to nothing. Next to nothing, right? We talk, I said, the courts must be more aggressive. And here we're not talking about violating people's rights. But if a man is charged with dangerous driving and other serious offenses, and the evidence is there, then the courts have to act condignly. The message must be sent that these things are not going to be tolerated. We can't have the thing that is not uniform. We must have uniformity. So if a man committed dangerous driving here and the circumstances are similar, wherever he does it in the country, the punishment should be similar, right? Then we have, they talk about this all the time, and what is being done. The merit point system. The merit point system. Every so often people talk, we got to bring in the merit point system. What has happened? What has happened? Yeah, Lorraine, man, many of them are out today and them a bus driver tomorrow. With license, them is bust out today and they get license tomorrow. I am saying that something, What I'm saying is this, is the process. And the thing suggests that these people might not have gone through the proper process, you know? And the traffic chief and them who made that comment, you must look at who made the statement, you must look at the comments. As I did. I looked at the comments, and when they talk about no corruption and a driver's license, I want to comment and say, what y'all talking? I pay for my license. That's one of the comments. Look at the comments and you get an understanding of as to what is going on. Right? We say review the law and driver program. Look at education, enforcement, engineering legislation. They talked to not so long ago the use of trade plate. It's lawlessness in every aspect, trade plate. So even though the law says, Motor Vehicle Road Traffic Act says when a trade plate can be used, right? Definitely not weekends, definitely not holidays, definitely during the night. Go around and see what happened. There's the lawlessness, go around. Trade plate ain't got no restriction now. None at all. So you have to look at that. All the things got to look. And I said I talk about dumping of sand, mud, builders' waste on roadway. Leaving vehicle in dangerous road positions. We talk about that on the highway and elsewhere. And let me say this too. Look at the note I'm glad I said. You should have a campaign. Minister, this is a new minister. Should have a campaign to have all those trucks in particular fitted with reflective material. Strips, they got them highly reflective strips. Maybe the ministry can invest some money. I don't think it's going to cost that much. And to show how you want to attack, all the trucks, them just put it on, paint them up so they could light up in the night with reflective strips. That can cost so much. That might be a very good initiative, and I had it here listed, right? Maybe when they come for fitness, you can insist that they have these things. But I will believe as a start, the ministry can be proactive in this. Spend little money. You get enough money now, right? Cut out some of them chap the thief, and put it towards buying these highly reflective strips. And you can put them on these trucks so that people can see them in the night from a distance, right? You can do that. And not only the vehicles, but the same highway patrol we're talking about. So if you're going down the road somewhere and maybe some post or maybe something is there, you can put it so that it is reflected and people can see this from a distance. We're talking about safety. We're talking about people's lives, right? We're talking about talking about driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs, right? The ranks must be adequately trained. I still maintain that the ranks are not adequately trained to deal with them issues. Because people still talking about random check, people talking about roadblock. When the law is clear that you have to have reasonable cause to stop a vehicle. You can't just stop a vehicle just so. But it calls for training. I know I had put together when they deal with driving under the influence, when the breathalyzer test came in. I sat with Neil Semple and some other people, and we put together SOP. I have that thing somewhere, I'm sure. I don't get you to those things. SOP to tell them what is reasonable cause. What is reasonable, and I don't come out with no random thing and telling people it's a random check. I saw a video this morning on social media. 3 policemen turned up at some home in, I think it's Texas, or somewhere, one of these states. And they spoke to a gentleman, and they wanted his son. Right? Man asked them, do you have a warrant? They said no, they didn't get a warrant. The man said, well, sorry. If you ain't get a warrant, you can't come in, and we ain't coming away. And it's a long thing. The thing lasted about 10 minutes. The man know the law. The man quote all them sections upon them. The man say he know the law. His wife is a liar. The wife know the law and so on. So you don't have a warrant? Sorry. They come, they tell you all sort of thing. Oh, well, you got to go down for sign. No, I said, no, we're not leaving. You got to get a warrant. You got to get a warrant. So the policemen must be trained. They have to know these things, right? You can't legally just go and you stop. You see, all sort of things are allowed. And they get away with all kind of craziness. But you have to have reasonable cause. And so therefore the training is very important. And I said then, and I'm saying again, that because of lack of training, as we have seen, when a person is charged with driving under the influence of alcohol or driving above the legal limit, and they plead not guilty, it's worries to get a conviction. Worries to get a conviction if the person pleads not guilty, because it is a very involved process. We went into it before. I'm not going to it here and now again. But all this is part of the training. We have had some very high-profile cases causing death by dangerous driving, as well as driving under the influence. And the driving under the influence charges have been dismissed because the police don't know how to give evidence in those cases. All of them things you have to look at. Wearing of seatbelt. Is there still such a law? Cell phone while people driving. The driver they use. I was traveling some time ago, this same year, passing police headquarters, and a female senior police officer driving east along Young Street and turning into officers' mess compound. She on the phone. What type of example we setting? On the phone. Well, you can't invest with a Bluetooth or something like that just to show that you are obeying the law. All of that. Animals on the roadway, all over the place. Not so long ago, a pig on the quarantine caused the death of a motorcyclist. A pig. Oh, you're going to say the motorcyclist didn't pay attention, so he right into the pig. What the pig doing on the road? At the hour in the night. All of those things you have to look at. You know, one of me pet peeve is the driving, well, lane driving. People in Ghana don't know how to drive in the lane. The Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act says that when you drive, you must keep to the left or near side of the road. You have to drive on the left or near side. Go on the East Coast. People don't know that. They drive on any lane. So they might be driving within the speed limit, but they're in the wrong lane. So you know, or many cases, they're driving below the speed limit, especially the older people and say they're driving below the speed limit, but they're on the wrong lane. They're not on the left or near side. I had the experience. You're blowing for them to pull over so you can pass. You can't pass, even though I'm within the speed limit. They sit down on the wrong lane. They force you now to pass on the incorrect side, what we call to undertake. All of that. And policemen will stand up there, and policemen do it too, and see a whole line of traffic on the wrong side of the road, and they don't do anything. They don't do anything. And we talk about what? This is the next one. We saw, it was when last week, Friday, I think it was, when that child was killed in Purika, father driving an electronic bike. They came out sometime last year, I think it was, with laws about electronic bike. The bike must be registered. Got to get a license plate. The driver must, they got to wear helmet, and that's the thing they talk about. What has happened to that? What has happened? Drive around the place and see people on electric bike and see if they're complying with that. Drive around and see. Drive around and see, right? The other time, a money bus to be a legal category vehicle. And then, finally, before bringing Mr. Conway, the time perhaps has come for us to revisit public transportation. You know, we had these large buses, and then they brought in some from Brazil, and because of pressure from the same minibus people and thing, it didn't last long. And then I was pleasantly surprised when I went to Jamaica sometime after to see some of those same type of buses operating in Jamaica. Guyana is one of the few countries in the Caribbean where you got a public transportation system with them buses. Many places they have an hybrid arrangement. Go to Barbados, you have the big buses, you have mini buses, you have a car. Trinidad, they get the big buses. Jamaica, they get them Juta, I think it is big buses. A lot of places have these big buses, and I think it is time for us to look at that and to make sure that at least on the coast, long distances, those vehicles people should perhaps give incentive, because I'm not advocating that government get involved in the transportation sector, but I believe if the incentives are there, the people in the private sector might very well get involved in it. Long routes, Georgetown to New Amsterdam, or all the way to the quarantine, Georgetown to Linden, Reading to Purika. You have got to look at all of these things. You have got to look at all of these things. And I said I've had a mouthful on this afternoon. And the reason why I thought you got a new minister one, perhaps you never heard some of these things. I suggest that they would bring it, well, perhaps they should bring it to their attention. And the situation on the death trap, that is the Linden Suzik Highway, should be addressed urgently. As I've said, I'm sure if over the weekend you all decide to put a dedicated highway safety patrol with some of the recommendations I have made, you're likely to have a positive impact. Let me bring in CC. CC, I talked in the mouth dry, so time for you, and we are almost finished. So let me hear you. I'm not going to deny you the opportunity to have your say on this issue.
Okay. I want to believe that you had spoken about driver's license. But I want to have my say, and I want to reinforce it. I always call it, or I call it the jaguar in the room, or sorry, the leopard in the room, oh, sorry, the elephant in the room. Driver's license, the corruption. And don't tell me it's in there. It's there how persons obtain their driver's license. They take away the loan driver package from themselves and they give it to Zaro. I mean, Zaro been built some computer centers all about the place. So they give them. But there's no checks and balances on Zaro. I always saying, Zaro, there are no angels. There are no paragons of virtue. Nobody checking what Zaro say. X body pass, that is it. Like nobody know nothing about computer fraud and everything. No? That they need to check with Zaro and see what's going on with the loaner driver package. And then we come now to the practical test. I know, Paul, in your days, you had caused a SOP to be put on that persons who are doing that the list of persons doing the practical examination must be submitted to the commander. I said before, commander got involved in this traffic thing. And the commander will select somebody to oversee the practical exercise. And at the end of it, a return has to be submitted to the commander saying the persons who did the test and the results. My experience is that there are very few persons are doing practical examinations, and when you go to GRA, they have competence that they did the practical examination, but they didn't go between the sticks. And even with the trucks, you go to Canton and you get competent, and you can drive them 16-wheelers and 18-wheelers and whatsoever. People are getting their driver's license too easily. And, and I can remember, reading a letter from Kit Nascimento. I know a lot of times that he propagates a lot of propaganda, but this one I believe. And let me read a part of it. July 19th last year, Stabrook News. Here we say, I have over investigated the process and found from personal conversation with that many fully licensed drivers have been able to avoid taking the practical road driving test by bribing police officers and receiving a license. This means the obvious results of this practical is that there are some drivers on the road who may have never actually driven a motor vehicle before becoming fully licensed. Kit Nascimento. And I always remember Rohan Singh, former head of the Presidential Guard, former head of the OPR, and head of the police audit unit. And he did an audit, and he discovered that over 1,154 persons got their driver's license illegally. And he classified them as potential killers. He said they are potential killers. For me, by now, maybe they have graduated to killers. And then they're putting policemen on the road. And here is how Stabrook News in an editorial mention it. Here they say, one good thing is that there are more police traffic officers on the road, either on a motorcycle or on foot. The bad thing about their presence is that they seem to be in their own world, minding their own business, which is not necessarily the business that they were put on the road to address. That is to keep a sharp eye on traffic violators, either through speeding, pranks, or or what others on the road are doing dangerously. The more rules there are, the more there are deaths, injuries, and abuses. That was Starbrook News. So unless we look at the driver's license, or look at it, how people obtaining the driver's license. Yes, Paul, you suggested that some other department would do it, but right now it's the police, and the focus should be on them. There's an accident. Nobody checking to see how the person get a driver's license. There's a good opportunity. Perhaps you check and you might open a can of worms. You know, you mentioned about people causing death by dangerous driving. How many persons for the year get charged with causing death by dangerous driving, and how many of them they suspended the driver's license? Because the law is clear that if you're charged with causing death by dangerous driving, the Minister of Home Affairs could suspend your driver's license. So, going back to the point I make earlier, is that there need to be a holistic approach towards the traffic situation. There's no silver bullet and there's no one-shot solution. And unless we get down, unless we be strategic, unless the traffic chief and them start blaming people and talking nonsense. By the way, I wonder when last I see or you heard the traffic chief on the road making any case or doing any enforcement. Traffic is road business, not going in office and giving interviews or jumping on the internet and cussing up and hacking anything. That is not traffic duties. It must be what is it? It must be a holistic approach towards traffic situation. All must be involved. All members of the force must be involved. The magistrates got to be involved. The public got to be involved. All the various organizations got to be involved to put an end to this madness that is going on our road.
Yeah, my brother, well said. Yes. You know, as I said, the traffic chief and them frustrated and here, just remind you how the traffic chief plans to deal with it. Listen to this student. Listen to this.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Just want to examine this post that was made by the president. You got to roll for plea. Don't hide in one office and think about what he isn't. Boys and them doing it in 4A, others doing it other places. We want to know 1 case and 2 cases to move. When you pull these people in and they don't have a helmet, they give the ticket, lodge the fucking motorbike until when they come the helmet, then give them back. Make it hard on them. And when you see the commanders telling you but they can't lodge the bike, you got to decide certain thing or decide if you want to stay with it. Because honestly, when you see the heat command, I wouldn't be holding no strain or no brief for nobody. It come at a point now, you got to stand up for yourself. The Harbour Bridge got a big role for playing this whole thing. And if they can't play it, you can play it.
That was the traffic chief response. There's no blackout. I just thought I'd play that voice note so you can hear the traffic chief behavior. And it's frustration. I could understand the frustration. But Mr. Singh, when they become frustrated, that is not the way to vent. That is not the way to vent. That is very unprofessional to be speaking to the ranks like that. You see, respect is something you have to earn. You have to earn respect is something, and people don't understand that, you know. You have to earn respect. And yes, I know, as I said, I was traffic chief, and many times you get frustrated because people want to maybe blame you. My predecessor in traffic told the commissioner, I am not the one, meaning he, the traffic chief, then I ain't going on the road and killing nobody. He told the commissioner in my presence, you operating, sir, as if I killing the people. I ain't killing the people. And as a result of that statement, among other things, the Commissioner Lewis told me go and take over traffic. But I understand it is not easy, but the important thing is you have got to let people know, let people see that you're doing something. As in my case, people saw, I used to be on the road frequently, anybody would tell you that. Because I believe that while it is good, and let me be honest, man, let me be honest. You're going to work as traffic chief or sit down in office all day, 5 days a week and do. No matter things that would have changed. You got a couple of files to deal with and all. Nothing to take you all day. I used to dedicate at least an hour in the morning and some other times in the afternoon, even evenings, to deal with vehicles without light and all this type of thing. You do it. You have to dedicate that. You have to lead by example. You have to lead by example, because my experience has been, even when I was commander, West Demerara, vehicle passing up and down in the night without light. I decided I'm going to go out. And once you go out and you lead, you see people coming. Ranks are going to come there, and you're going to get a control of what's going on. That is what it is. When you sit down in the office, maybe we can't call you all officers. You believe officers mean you must sit in office all the time? No, you have to go on the road. As Mr. Conway said, traffic up on the road, traffic in there in office. Go on the road. Pull your people them together. Don't cuss them out. Let them come up with ideas. The most junior rank might have some brilliant card. They're out there and they're experiencing things. They might be able to come up with suggestions as to how the matter can be properly dealt with. The most junior rank. I used to get them type of interaction. Ask the people who work with me in traffic. But you are sitting down there and you're cussing them out and you're pandering to the politicians. When, as I've said, this problem is beyond the Guyana police force. It is beyond the traffic department. It is beyond the Guyana police. It is a national crisis. And therefore, you have the government, PVP who recently elected, 5 more years from them. 5 more years. I hope that in this time around, they can take some of these things on board, especially now that you got a new Minister of Home Affairs and they get rid of that waste the car ropes and man shoot and scoot who did absolutely nothing positive in the 5 years that he was there. Now that they get rid of him, I hope this minister will take some of these initiatives on board. When it talks about suspending license, you, minister, is the licensing authority, and you can do that. There's a process, of course, but you can do that. You can do that. So don't sit back, as I warned the minister before. This honeymoon can be short-lived. If you sit down and you listen to them tell you about figures, or you're telling them about crime down, or you're just repeating those things, and they tell you about fatal accidents and fatal incidents, and try to fudge the figures, your honeymoon is going to be extremely short. Because I, like many other right-thinking people, are prepared to give you the chance to see how you are going to function. I am prepared to do that. But if you come and you listen to them, lies what you can and them telling you, and then you come in and spew that in the public, that honeymoon gone short-lived. You note, I have not said anything that not positive. I have been saying these things all the time. This is the way it should be dealt with. As I've said, you might know, but Mr. Conway and I used to lecture to the police on some of these issues. We used to lecture to the police. But since your government came into power in 2020, they made us persona non grata. They don't want to hear but we, right? So we have chosen this medium to continue to pass on the information, and we know that us listen. For example, we talk about them German flag and the police started flag, and within a couple of days, they are moved. They are moved, and I showed because we talk about it. And we have spoken about other things. They're not going to admit that is because it was slow and Conway said, but they can act. And that's what we want. We don't want the praise. We just want to see the action. And you will do well, Minister, like your predecessor I understand he had someone who monitored this program when he couldn't listen and would report to him on what was said. I hope you do that. I hope you do that. Let me bring in Mr. Conway for his closing, and then I'm going to tell you. I have one other. No, before I bring in CC, let me tell you all this. CC, bear with me a minute. I've been cautioning people to look and see or to continue to follow what is going on in our region with the American war machinery, the deployment of military assets to intercept these drug smuggling vessels and so on, right? I read this morning that there's a story here now. Venezuela deploys long-range fighters with Mach 3 anti-ship missiles in show of force to the U.S. Navy. This is a dangerous, dangerous development. When I talk Mach 3, talk about something that's going 3 times the speed of sound. And here what it says, I'm going to read just a part. The Venezuelan Air Force has deployed Su-30 Mk2 fighter aircraft equipped with K-31 anti-ship missiles as part of a Sovereign Caribbean 200 exercise on the La Orechilla Island, which saw combined air, sea, and land elements deployed in a significant show of force. The exercise included more than 2,500 personnel, 12 naval ships, 22 aircraft, and 20 ships, and was conducted in response to a major buildup of the United States forces in the region. This buildup has included the deployment of multiple destroyers, over 4,000 Marines, a Nimitz-class nuclear-powered supercarrier, the amphibious assault ship USS Iwo Jima, a nuclear-powered attack submarine, and F-35 stealth fighter squadron from both the Air Force and the Navy. The United States has also placed high-value bounty on the head of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and repeatedly made clear its intention to oust his administration from power. Venezuelan media has emphasized that the Sovereign Caribbean exercise were designed to demonstrate integrated command of naval and air assets in a contested environment. It goes on and goes on. But I'm saying this thing is dangerous. One miscalculation, one miscalculation, and we can have a big conflict on our doorstep. One miscalculation. So I've been following it. I've been following, and all Guyanese should be following it very, very closely, very, very carefully. We should be following it, all Guyanese, because it's a dangerous development right in our backyard. And don't forget, Venezuela has claimed that the whole Essequibo belongs to them. Venezuela claimed that our Essequibo belongs to them. They even went so far, they came into our waters and they were aggressive towards the oil people out there. So y'all pay attention. Let me bring in Mrs. Conway for his closing. Sisi?
Yes, and we got to be concerned with what's going on between Venezuela, United States, Trinidad also. We are the neighbors. And Region 1 still continue to be the epicenter for drug smuggling. Still continue to be, and it's going on. And fuel smuggling, where the allegations are that police are deeply involved in fuel smuggling and police selling police fuel. And they get a boat called Tamake. When him out there, I know we're doing. It ain't intercepting no boat. It ain't intercepting nothing. For the matter here, the men said they ain't getting good food, so they can't do anything. And there's an allegation. I want you to listen carefully to it. That a certain rank was transferred after training to Region 1. And certain things happened. And the rank was subsequently transferred to Port Kaichumu Police Station with no proper accommodation. The rank refused to go. The administration at Region 1 stopped the rank salary. Stop the rank salary. Rank say, I ain't getting no accommodation for me, blah, 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 blah. And luckily, Budram stood up as a man, stood up as an officer, and reversed the decision. Somebody need to look at what is happening in Region 1. Fuel smuggling, cocaine smuggling, and otherwise, and the administration of Region 1. It's going to blow up in a big way.
Yeah, and what Mr. Conway diplomatically um, failed to reveal is that the rank he referring to is a female rank. A female rank. Folks, let me tell you this. We had a good afternoon. I did most of the batting because CC had blackout, which is a regular thing in Guyana. Then and done. That and you know, we understand or they're paying some company now from Dominican Republic, I think over $600,000 a month for some type of service they're gonna provide. And we still getting last night I saw some wire in south or somewhere there, sparking like Christmas tree, man. Wire, electric wire, and that's what we get. But as I get a chance to play them song and so on this afternoon, time caught up with us. Well, we say 5 more years upon them, man. That's what they want. All those who sat back and wanted to see the rice farmers from the Essequibo crying out and all that. Yeah, look for that. Coco said, that's what you want. Don't cry. Don't cry. You look for that. You look for that. Those of you who went vote, those of you who vote for government that show you how corrupt they were. A party rather, PPP corrupt, most corrupt political party in this hemisphere by far. Y'all want them to come back? They'll come back now more vicious, like 7 Koras in a bag. Right? They come back more vicious. Folks, we hope you have a wonderful weekend. Today is Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Relax. Do whatever you do on weekends. I know some of the females get a lot of chores to perform during the weekend. Do what you got to do and be safe. Be safe. Again, I say Guyana is such a dangerous place. Almost every day we come on this program. We do so 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Monday at 11 and Wednesday at 11. Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And we always, so often we have to report on deaths, murders, road deaths. And again, I leave by saying, I hope that some of the recommendations, especially the recommendations in relation to the Linden-Suzaik Highway, are implemented without delay. So God's Spray Life, Monday at 11 o'clock. We're going to see you again, here again for another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption, Incompetence. Until then, stay well. Bye.